Hi, this is Tove Lo, aka Tove Lo. I just did an interview on the Zach Sang Show. We talked about my album Dirt Femme and about life and love and all the fun things. Check it out.
Hello, beautiful human. My name is Zach. That is Dan, and we welcome back to the studio. Tove Lo.
Woo!
Hi.
So nice to see you guys.
It's literally been years.
Yes.
And I've had okay, I want to dive right in because there's life to get to. More importantly, there's an entire new album to dive into. Mm-hmm. But does anybody still call you Bumblebee?
No.
Nobody?
Not really, no.
Not even your super straight husband?
No. He just calls me Tove or Tove or TT. Or T.
Those are all great names.
Great names, yeah.
Those all make sense.
Yeah, pretty much so, yeah.
Was Bumblebee a nickname?
Yeah, Bumblebee was a nickname.
Bumblebee was a nickname, and also Tuss, which means like little fuzzy ball, was also a nickname.
Where did that come from?
That was my mom. I think also now because Tove Lo was my nickname as a kid, and then I kept it, and I think now my family don't really want to use that anymore because now it's like my artist name. So now they call me Tuss instead.
Because that's theirs.
That's theirs, yeah.
You gave what was theirs to everybody else.
Yeah, I did, yes.
And I mean, is it interesting, you have your immediate family, which now includes a husband, but then you have your extended family that has watched you. I mean, you attended a very prestigious school in Sweden. Mm-hmm. You've worked under some of the best artists in the world. You have become one of the best artists and songwriters of an entire generation.
Thank you.
I mean, is it wild to watch them your family grapple with this side of you?
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because I notice sometimes that when they read things about me that I haven't told them yet, they find that really surprising and kind of frustrating that more people found out before we knew.
Yeah.
But I think by now they're used to it. I think the first few years were really strange. And I remember kind of them feeling like they didn't know me as well as they thought, or because I would be so open in interviews, maybe talk about stuff that maybe we hadn't talked about in years, and then that made them feel like, have we ever even talked about this? And I'm like, yes, remember when, but it would be I think that feeling was a little bit difficult for them.
Does that hurt you a little bit?
Yeah, I think at the time I just felt a bit misunderstood and just stressed out of I think because when things explode the way they did for me, when I had no experience in the big pop world at all, but because I was 26 and kind of was, came off quite confident, I think people just assumed that I had done it all for a long time, but I had no idea what was going on at all. So I was already quite stressed out about not really knowing what was expected of me and never feeling like I was doing enough for anyone. And so that became including my family a bit. It was trying to be there for them while I was constantly traveling, constantly doing a million different things, and then being in different time zones and still trying to catch them up while I was too tired to even compile a text message, and I think understandably for them it was oh, you just took off and disappeared, now we just read stuff about what you're doing, we don't actually get to hear it from you personally.
Yeah, it's not firsthand.
No, exactly. But I think by now they kind of start to understand that it's just two different relationships and it's two different things. It's two different parts of me, I guess.
Was it always that way, or did it? It starts as just one of you, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, I just mean I still feel like the one and the same in all aspects, but I just think that just because I haven't told you something that I've said in an interviews, maybe just because we didn't have time to catch up that week, and then I moved on from it, and then it came up in an interview and you hadn't I hadn't brought it up with them because maybe I had talked to some friends about it, There's kind of stuff like that it's really hard when you're not living in the same city and you're not around each other all the time to just, by the way, catch everyone up on stuff that's going on in your life. At least I find it quite difficult to unless I'm around, you're in my proximity, I find it quite hard to constantly keep remembering to like reach out to people.
Of course.
I
identify with that very
Yeah.
heavily. Just because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And there is some truth to out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, yeah.
You brought up your rise and your essential blow up into fame. Have you asked yourself why you ever?
Yes.
Because it's a blow up that actually starts at like Iconopop's party.
Yeah.
You hand your demo off to some Warner A&R.
Yeah.
And I mean, but you went to high school with half of Iconopop, right?
Oh, both of them actually. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
But that ends up changing your life.
Completely.
That
No.
confidence.
Yeah. I think me just feeling like, the thing is, I always knew that like when I was like bothering these A&Rs and like, you need to hear my stuff, I'm awesome, you know, I knew that I had so much more to learn, but I just needed someone to hear something in what was me as a writer or me as an artist or whatever, that they were like, oh, this could grow into something. I was like so ready for like critique and be like, tell me what to do better. I know I can do more. I just don't know how to, like, I need someone to guide me and like put pressure on me to like develop a little bit. And I think,
Who did that?
I would say my A&R at well, now MXM, and at the time at Warner Chappell, is Julius Peterson. Is he's been like my person since day one when I got signed as a writer, very fresh. You know, I was, and he just gave me, he was just really hard on me, but very like motivating and very like, encouraging. And then I also think, Ludwig Söderberg, who I've done so much of my music with, like he pushes me to be a better writer. Like we together come up with this, we just have this relationship now where we create stuff together that always, we always go somewhere new, even though we definitely have created the sound together. And I just think,
How special is that though?
Oh, amazing.
Because isn't that the proper evolution, right? Is like how would you describe a pristine artist evolution from album to album? I mean, the way you just described it would be one of the ways, right?
I think so. I think there's a combination of like, okay, you tell a different story because you've been through new things since the last record. Like for me, it's like I kind of treat my songs as, quite like journals a little bit, I write down my fears and my flaws and my feelings, just like all kind of crisscross together. And then you have to also think about this, like how do I want it to feel sonically? Like where are we going sonically this time? And I think then it plays in a lot to what I've been listening to lately, what I've found inspiring, but it's very rarely like conscious in that way. And then I think, with Ludwig coming in and like him just being kind of pulling from different genres and ideas and worlds that he has been listening to, and like none of us really play an instrument. So it's like building stuff from scratch without any kind of real idea of what you usually do with like a chord progression or like a drum beat or whatever. And I think that makes it like maybe we have slightly less fear of something sounding a bit weird, but then it also becomes a bit more simple since none of us really know the theory behind it. Yeah, I don't know. But you just have to stay out of your comfort zone a little bit. Like let the song take time to make, because you should try and not go where you've gone before, but still keep it in your world. I don't know.
Of course. And by the way, like that's from what I've heard of Dirt Femme, that's what I get. Like I get a different story, but a Tove that I that's familiar yet different.
Yeah.
But that's the proper evolution. But sometimes artists get stuck in doing the same shit over and over again, or going too far to the left or to the right.
Yeah.
And abandoning what Yes.
And I feel like, the amount of times over the years where I've heard like, you just need another Habits, you just need another Stay High. And I'm like, I can't make that though, because I made it. Like I can't make a knockoff copy of something that for some reason just, and I feel like for me, it's like I consciously don't try to go one direction or the other. I just try to make the best stuff I can make that still, in my world is like the pop world that I want to exist in. But that's all I can do. I can't know. Sometimes it resonates more with people. Sometimes it resonates less with people. But that's all I can do, is do my best. And hope that, my fans and more like relate to it,
Are you making music at a core for you or for others?
I think the start of the journey is always for me. Like I write what I need to get out of my system. But then I think once I start telling sort of the visual story and like when the whole world kind of comes together and when I'm choosing the songs for the album, then it starts to be more like, what do I want them to hear?
So where To Die For, where does that fall on that spectrum or that timeline?
I feel like there was a combination. It started off with like, I've never sampled anything before. I want to do that for once and see what that's like.
Why'd you stay away from sampling?
I guess it just never really crossed my mind. And I think I had like this feeling of like, no, I want to make something original that's just from me. But then I watched this documentary, it was just on YouTube, like called Remixing or something. And it just showed this like the kind of legacy of people covering each other's songs and like sampling stuff and how that's just such a huge part of music culture. And it got me a little bit excited to try it out.
And that's hot butter's popcorn, right?
Yes, exactly. And I mean, all Crazy Frog, depending on what generation you're from. But outside of the Crazy Frog remix, there hasn't really been like a massive popcorn remix. So I don't know. It was. I was working with Oscar Gurres, one of the Wolf cousins from MXN, who's an incredible writer and producer, incredible musician too. And we were just talking about kind of like how the different eras of dance music keep kind of like influencing pop more and more.
Oh yeah.
And talking about how sort of like the early 2000s, like kind of trance music, like that kind of intense synth, like really fast stuff was really starting to come back in. And I was kind of, we should do something like that, and he started playing those like chords like and then I don't know how, but that popcorn melody just kind of popped into my head and I started singing in over those chords and it just worked perfectly. And we were just like, we gotta do this,
and then you write on top of that.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, by the way, like some of the greatest artists of all time were singing covers. Like most of Elvis's hits were covers.
Yeah, true.
So it's in like an art that like keeps coming back and back and it's so like prevalent.
Yeah. I think the only thing to remember is like, I think back then people weren't really crediting, the people that they were covering, which is like
you wouldn't know all the Elvis. Like you so many people assume that most of Elvis's songs weren't covers.
No, of course, yeah, because there was no acknowledgement about the original artists, and I think that is a problem,
100%.
But maybe that was, the way back then. I don't know, but I think that I mean, now today, like you can find everything, so now it's hard to do that without getting caught, so to speak. But to me, it's just like, of course, you just reach out and go, hey, like. We used your song. Is it cool? Do you like it? Do you approve?
Can we pay you?
Can we pay you? Yeah, exactly. And so it's just the way, I think.
So, but also, it's very cool that you're still so deeply connected to Max Martin and crew.
Yeah, I love them.
Like, you didn't start with them, but when you came to the States for the first time, they were very much here.
Yes.
For you.
Mm-hmm.
Community and family that of what you knew and understood.
It was like, I don't know if I can like describe how like intense it is coming to LA for the first time when I didn't drive and there was no Ubers and I was very broke and just like having this, Martin take me under my wing was like, thank you. Because I was, just kind of freaked out. But it was really good. It was a really good experience and just kind of getting thrown into that. I mean, I didn't write songs with him at that time, but I got to play him all my demos when I got back from sessions, and it was very like, he was very like hard on me, but also gave me so much good feedback that I could use. And then, it was just so great for me that first trip.
Like real talk, like maybe he'd get mad at me for saying this, but like Max Martin's a dad. Like he's a caring, loving father. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, he is a father. He has an amazing daughter. Yeah.
She's extraordinary.
Yeah.
But like he really, like, it's so beautiful to one witness, but then also to know that like, I mean, that means a lot to artists or to somebody who's this is fucking scary.
Yeah.
And like, LA scary. The industry is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, to have that support and also knowledge and wisdom,
Yeah.
just, I mean,
For sure.
that means more than anyone can really wrap their mind around because
No, totally. And what I found also really amazing is that like both him and Shellback or Johan, you know, have this, you know, their repertoire of songs is insane, you know, but it's never a feeling of like, they're just very respectful of you and your craft and what you show them. And just, it's just, I never feel this like, I don't know, there's a humble attitude still that I find so impressive, because you could easily let go of that whenever you want.
But by the way, he could have let go of that like 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
But I find that really, I'm very grateful to be like part of that songwriting crew and, you know, kind of have them as mentors and for feedback and, you know.
family,
Yeah,
friends.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's,
It's lovely.
yeah, God, it's healthy.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It really is.
I do like being part of that kind of, it's a very like, everyone collaborates and you play each other's stuff and you take in the feedback from people you trust and you try it out. If you still feel like, I prefer how it was, you go with that, but also be like trusting with the people you trust. And it's really valuable to have.
Life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt Femme is our most recent body of work. Yes. What song starts it for you? Like, what song did you finish first that was like, okay, I got to do an album now?
Well, it was No One Dies From Love.
Wow.
And I actually wrote that in January 2020 before everything went down. And it was weird because when we wrote it, it was with Ludwig and we were writing for 3 weeks in Malibu, just like got a house, just two of us. And we only wrote that one song for 3 weeks. I mean, usually you have quite a lot of demos coming out of 3 weeks of writing. But I don't know, we were just like having a moment of both going through some stuff and we were like crying and talking and drinking and like walking on the beach and then writing this one song. And it was really special. And I think once we wrote that, I was like, oh, I can't wait. I want to put this out like before the all the summer shows, like all the summer touring, like, you know, this new era, this is what I want to start it with. And then, you know, pause. But I still felt, and then I didn't write barely anything for the rest of 2020. I wasn't feeling inspired at all. But then when I started writing again, towards the end of the year and during all of 2021, I still felt like this is the first initial tone of the record and the first song that I really want to start with and like kick it all off with.
What does it mean that a song could sit for a year and a half and still be a hit?
Well, I think there's like, just means there's substance there. I think No Dies From Love is like, I think it's going to have a long life, you know, a nostalgic life. And I think that's probably why, you know, it has some sort of like a timeless feel about it. It's very cinematic and dramatic. And I think that, you know, plays on people's heartstrings.
When did you realize it was timeless? Because that's special.
Yeah, probably because after it's sitting for 2 years, we barely changed any production or anything, you know, and I didn't change any lyrics. Like that kind of to me felt like, all right, it still feels current or like it doesn't actually feel like any time. It just feels right.
Yeah, that's it matches any mood.
Yeah.
Are any of your other records the same?
On this album or just in general?
Timeless in general.
Well, I will have to say that I think Habits feels pretty timeless to me. Yeah. I don't know how, you know, it's like that song just, I mean, it still seemed to resonate with people now, you know. Thanks to TikTok, it's got a few, you know, it's gotten a few trends and gone off again. And like, I just see the comments are so sweet. It's like, you know, for some people it's like their party song, for some people it's their heartbreak song, and it kind of lives in this world of in the in-between and
what you need.
Yeah, it's really special.
It is.
I mean, it's for me, I'm also like, it's the song that changed my life, so I'm very happy for it to have a long life.
A life way after all of ours. Yes, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that is like, that's art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wild. What are you thinking?
In the music video for No One Dies From Love, can you explain that and why you decided to make out the robot?
Well, so I guess it's me loving to do things that are like, it's pop with a twist. And I guess I just sent this song to my favorite directors, Alaska, who I love working with, and it's like, here's a song. It doesn't have to, the video doesn't have to match the lyrics, but I just want it to feel very cinematic and big. And then he came back, Marco and Gus came back with an idea. It's like, what if it's a love story, but it's like between you and a robot, and it's kind of like set in like a futuristic 70s vibe, and it's like, and you kind of end up being the asshole in the end, like, me up just switching out for a better model. And I don't know, when he said that, I was like, this is just the best, most perfect idea I've ever heard. I don't want to hear any other treatments. This is what we're doing. Like, I'm gonna have to sell my house making this video, but it doesn't matter. Let's go. And it just, to me, just felt like this beautiful movie that kind of, it is nostalgic, like, and it's been done, I'm sure, before, but not in this way. But I just wanted to have that bizarre twist. So like me making out with it just felt like the right thing to do.
I was wondering, like, what's it like on set when you're in front of a whole crowd making out with
my God, so weird. Like, but I've also like made out with a puppet in one of my videos. So like, where can it go? No, I think that was this is an amazing moment, because obviously there's a girl inside that, but I'm just kissing this chrome platform, and just tastes very metallic and weird, and they would also like wipe it off with like alcoholic wipes every time, so it was just like the weirdest taste ever. It was very bizarre. Yeah.
Well, is this story going to continue? Because I know this robot appears in the scene in To Die For too, right?
Yes, there's a little cameo there to set it up for it's gonna be a minute, but there's a follow-up coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first song you ever wrote when you were 10 years old was called People Think I'm Crazy.
Oh.
Do you think people still think you're crazy?
Probably, yeah. I've really gotten sort of, I feel very supported and at home in my like weirdness. And I think it's kind of this, it's just like this thing I have with my fans that they're like, where does your mind go? I don't get it, but we're so in for it, and I think there's this, I just love to kind of push myself in that zone, because I feel very free there when you can kind of just not like, I guess that's also the, fun part about being independent. I don't never have to really rein it in. So we're going all out.
I mean, you knew early that you were crazy.
Yeah.
You've milked it.
Yeah.
It's paid off.
It's paid off. It's I'm being honest about it.
Yeah, it works for you.
Yeah, it works for me. It works well for me. Yeah.
Did you set goals for yourself with Dirt Femme?
I think the only goal I had was like creative goals, like wanting it to be visually just as strong as sonically, and for it to feel like one world without getting too stuck in like concept album in terms of sound, because then I feel like you can get quite, once you get too hard into a concept, it can kind of start all to sound the same, I think, because you're scared of like veering off the path you're on. So I thought, no, it's important that you bring in some songs that are like stand out and are completely different in terms of like style and vibe, because the thing that ties them together is me. And I wanted to make sure that took my time making it.
How long? I mean, it took you from 2020 January to when did you finish? How do you know it was done?
I finished it. It took me, I would say, about just a little over a year. Yeah, like a year and a half to write it. Yeah.
How do you know it was finished?
When I didn't have anything else to say, I started like doing more sessions, and I was like, no, it's just bullshit coming out now. I can't.
How do you know it was bullshit though?
When I really have to when I can't come up with any words that inspires me, when I'm just kind of like reusing, and the funny thing is I definitely like tie it together with like I use phrases from one song in the next a lot, because to me that makes it a bit of a story. Cohesive. Yes. But I feel like it's just a feeling. I don't know how to explain it really. It's like if I'm sitting and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say. I've said that. And then I maybe go on to something like, I don't even care about that. Why am I writing a song about that? Like who, and I think that's when I just start to know that like, okay, I'm kind of done writing now.
What role do collaborators play in keeping you creatively fresh? Like, will you work with somebody from the very beginning, or do you hand somebody a song that's done for them to add something to?
I feel like usually I like to start from the beginning with people. What's been interesting about this album is that it's just me and one other person most of the songs. So I've done pretty much all the melodies and lyrics. And I feel like usually I will come in with like an idea or a feeling that I want to express, and then they'll start to make kind of music based on that emotion a bit. And sometimes I'm just like, I want to make something fun, just like make me a dance beat. And then they do, and it's great. But yeah, it really varies, but I like to start from scratch.
S.G. Lewis, who's about to Zoom us.
Yay!
You do not one song with this man, but you end up doing 2 records with him, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of, it's more than just one. That is 2.
That is 2. It's double the amount.
You have to like him, right?
Yeah, I love him.
By the way, I think he's here. Hold on. Hi, hello.
Hello.
Ah.
Oh my God.
Hello, darling.
You sound so good. Hello. Hold on. Wow. What's going
Recording
on, bro?
in progress.
Hello.
Hello.
What's up, man?
Hello.
Say hi to your friend.
There she is.
I miss you.
I miss you too. Where are you guys?
We're in Burbank, California.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I literally just got back to LA yesterday. So,
You could have been here with us. I could have gone to see you before I leave tomorrow. You bastard.
I know. We have one day of crossover before I leave. Yeah.
She's been
I miss you.
She's been saying you guys have no time to hang out. You can't
I know.
coordinate.
It was great because we were like, there was like a solid period where we're in LA, like same time for like months, and I think I saw her and Charlie like most days.
Yeah, we hung out so much, and then you left, and then I left, and then.
Yeah, we've been passing trips in the night since, but the reunion is close.
Yes, it is close. When I come back, you're still here, right? I'm back October 3rd. Good.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Good.
So, definitely.
Well, so how does this begin? Because again, there's Pineapple Slice and there's Call on Me. Call on Me is produced by Flume, right?
No, is it? No.
Is that a lie?
No.
That's a lie.
Well, somebody literally fed me that information outside.
No.
No. I produced Call on Me. I started it with my friend Teed, like the instrumental, but then I took it somewhere else and then worked on it with Tove, and then Pineapple Slice is just me and Tove straight in the room. So no Flume involved on those ones.
Well, so what do you do, SG, in terms of like how far does a record need to get done in the process before you choose to bring it to Tove?
Well, they're 2 completely different instances. So the Call on Me being a record that kind of started from a jam that me and T did another time, and then I take the idea in somewhere else. But Pineapple Slice was literally like Tove walked in the room and there was like nothing there, sort of thing, or I just started to lay down like a bass line, and then it just all kind of happens in the room, and then Tove starts vibing on it immediately. So kind of always different approaches and like different results every time, but both I kind of there's not like I don't prefer either instance. It's just like when it works on a day, really.
Well, I usually find it hard to write on on an instrumental or track that's like sounds very finished, because I feel like I can't really take it anywhere unless they're really good, and SGs are really good. So I remember you sent me a bunch of like kind of tracks and stuff that he'd done, and I was like, so I want to write on all of them, but let's start with the Call on Me one. And
what was it about it? What brought you in?
It's just like energetic and sexy and gives me like nostalgia without really knowing why, because it's not something I've heard before. So yeah, it just felt really fun, and I can also notice if I just start singing melodies right away and they're like a lot of them feel good on top of it, then I'm like, okay, this is gonna be, we just have to like pick and choose which ones are the catchiest ones, but sometimes that's really hard to do when it's like too many things there already.
It's crazy how quickly those things form when Tove's writing though, in terms of like, you know, especially with Pineapple Slice, it was like a chorus just kind of arrived like a lightning bolt in her brain. It was just like very quick.
That was quick, yeah.
It's pretty crazy to watch her work every time, but it's awesome.
What is a pineapple? Are we referring to an actual pineapple slice,
Yes.
or is there like innuendo here?
So this is probably the dirtiest song on the album. Yes, we're talking about if you, doesn't matter who you are, if you eat pineapple slice, things will taste better. That's the story.
Wait, so what do I need to eat to get this? It's not an actual pineapple?
No, you have to eat the pineapple slice. I'm serious. It actually is. Pineapple will taste, make both of you taste better.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, we've been working on Call on Me, and we posted a photo in the studio together, and like there was a bunch of just like Twitter going kind of crazy, and someone was like, "Oh my God, they must be making the horniest banger of all time." Then we saw the tweet, and we were like, "Well, maybe we should make the horniest banger of all time." So then that was like our original intention. So then Tove kind of smacked it out the park.
So we're like, what mindset do we need to be in to create a horny anthem? Do we need? Does one need to be horny to craft a horny anthem?
I think horny is just more of a perpetual state than a
Yeah,
You're like, is it
exactly.
Oh my gosh, you might want to get that checked out.
Well,
it's a lifestyle.
yeah, it's a lifestyle. I feel like it came very easy to both of us. I will say that it wasn't like it wasn't like we both like, oh yeah, I totally get what you mean. I know that moment. I know what we're talking.
Well, that's
about.
what I wanted to know. Like, are we writing from realistic horniness or like ideal horniness? Because like there's two different.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I feel like this one is more the like. I guess it depends, but it's definitely the more like, I want to go out and get laid horniness.
Sick.
And you're like getting ready for that moment.
It's
Eating pineapple.
Well, I actually pictured myself hyping myself up in the mirror, eating a slice of pineapple.
Yeah. That's a great way to start.
Okay, I'm here for it.
That's how I like to start my nights.
Yes.
And SG, what like, just wondering, man, like when you're crafting a beat from nothing, like how like does it start with something you hear in your head, like, or do you need to like sit down at the front of a computer to do it? Like, where do you need to be? Like, what mindset do you need to have in order to craft literally something from nothing?
So it can really the kind of inspirational sort of catching point can be anything, because sometimes I just sit there and I'll like fiddle until I hear something, or with something like this, it was just there was like a bass line that I was kind of hearing in my head, and I was like, and then so once I got to the studio, that was like the first thing I was like knocking out, and then that was the only thing that I had when Tove got to the studio was like the start of this bass line, and that was like enough to set her off. So she like walked in and she was just like, "Oh, that's cool," straight away, and it was like, "Oh," and then it was like, "Cool, we're off to the races."
I was like, I have a song.
Yeah, I was like, "Great, awesome, we're here." But it varies every time. Sometimes things are like fully formed and like, but there will always have to be some kind of like jump off point, or just like some like old song I've heard somewhere, or like or just a random idea that pops up, or if I hear like a vocal idea, like the rest of the song only formed in my head once I heard what Tove was doing. And then that's what's fun about working from scratch, is what you're both doing kind of informs the other person.
Yeah.
And as much as I love like, you know, taking something in, it's great when you're working with someone like Tove and you have that just like fluid chemistry and stuff in the studio where you can kind of just bounce back and forth, because then you're like, it's like passing a ball back and forth a bit, and then it's just a really like fluid, easy process. So this one was really fun for sure.
Well, listen to Dirt Femme, listen to Pineapple Slice, listen to Call on Me.
Yes.
Absolutely, 100%.
We're gonna put
I remember to eat some pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's healthy.
Eat pineapple, folks.
It makes everything taste better.
Yes.
That's the word around town.
Next time you're at pre-drinks for a night, just forego the beer and just get a can of pineapple.
Those who know. We'll say that.
Well said.
And by the way, a lot more people are about to know. So you're passing very needed knowledge.
Very needed knowledge, yeah.
I mean, really, this is charity.
Yes.
Thank you. You're doing the Lord's work, the both of you.
We're really trying to do the Lord's work.
We're just doing our bit.
Just playing your part in society. Thank you so much.
Yes.
No, you're welcome, guys.
Thank you for calling and taking the time, dude. It really means a lot.
Not at all. But great to see you both. I hope
Great to see you.
Yeah,
and can't wait to see you both in real life. And Tove, when you get back to town, I'll see you straight away.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Nice to see you, Zach, as well.
dude, peace and love. We did run into each other at Coachella, though.
We had
I didn't
a
imagine
shared
that.
loving moment in Coachella. I was like,
It-
I love you. You were like, I love you.
it brought me with a lot of joy, but like I did think this morning, like, did I dream that? Like, was that a fever dream? Did that actually happen? So good to know it did.
Yeah, it was ever so slightly blurry for me as well. You know,
You know how it is.
I remember there was a lot of.
It was
mutual
beautiful.
love. It was a beautiful moment. It was a personal Coachella highlight.
Well, mutual, and let's do it again in real life. So please,
absolutely.
you know.
Let's get together and let's do something fun. That'll be awesome.
dude, sending you love.
Awesome,
Thank you for doing this.
Bye, darling. See you soon.
Bye, Tove. Love
Bye.
you.
Love you.
Bye.
Wow, that was
See you guys.
bye. This is the first time we ever did something like that.
That worked really well.
Yeah, well,
You never know with the
recording
Zoom
stopped.
or the yeah.
Oh my god! And you watched me set this up. Like I was very much like frozen,
How
deer
is
in
it gonna
headlights.
go?
It was stressful. Whew.
If I knew he said he was coming back today, but I didn't know if we should have just forced him to
Come here?
get here from the airport.
He is special. And do you run your collaborators through a filter? Because you've collaborated with a lot of incredible people, a lot of people that you choose to keep into your life today. You know, and like at the end of the day, when you make a song with somebody, it lasts forever.
Yeah,
It's
for
an
sure.
extension of you forever.
Yeah.
So
No, I feel like it's I think it always happens if you go into the studio and you write something together that that you feel really good about. Like usually it's because there's also a great personal chemistry and you like become friends and you get along. And I feel like that then, you know, and then you go through the release together. So you kind of create this like journey together that's really special. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of people that I've collaborated with that I'm like, you are my friend now. We're going to keep hanging out. But also it was funny because Sam met Charlie, my husband, like before, like they just kind of met at this random thing before I was about to work with Sam, but we hadn't worked together yet. And Charlie came home and he was like, he's the best person. Don't screw this up. Like, you better write a good song with him because he's awesome. And it was just so funny. Like, they click so well as well. So, like, both of our crews of friends get along super well. And it's just been this, like, really nice time of friendship. Yeah.
that's a beautiful cross-pollination.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that you're married?
Yeah, I am. Like, I never thought I was going to get married. I knew that, like, when I met Charlie, that's like, okay, here is someone I really want to like spend the rest of my life with, if he'll allow me. But
What was it
you
about
know-
him? I need to know out of curiosity.
yeah. He honestly, it was this feeling like we met at actually on my birthday. We met once at Coachella months before, but he was taken then, and he kind of like ran away from me when I started hitting on him. So I was like, oh damn it. But then we ran into each other on my birthday way later, and at a Halloween party, and then I feel like I figured out pretty quickly that he was single. And I was like, oh, he's so hot. Like, I was very attracted to him, but I also was like, I really want to kiss him, but I'm having so much fun talking to him that I like don't want to stop laughing. Like, it was just such a connection, like right away. And I think, yeah, he's one of those kind of people that like wherever he goes, people remember him. Yeah. Like, he has this like very charming, he makes people feel good about themselves around him. And not because he's like talking everybody up, but he's just like very like kind and interesting, and like is interested in other people, and like fun to look at, obviously. But it's it's like, I don't know, we have this really special connection. Yeah. And so I mean, we were kind of panicking, like we need to get married if we're gonna be able to go around the world together. Like, this is getting like kind of crazy. You know, we eloped to Vegas during COVID and kind of did it all there.
Sick.
And I was kind of like, oh my god, are we actually doing this? Like, we're gonna get married? But then when it happened, like in the Little White Chapel, he had like a light blue tuxedo on with the like fluffy shirt, and I was wearing this like big poofy 80s dress. Like we had some of our best friends with us, but then during the like actual like ceremony, which was, you know, very small, it was just like I had this feeling of like, I get why people do this. This is so romantic. I'm so in love, and this is really special. And yeah, so I'm like, I get it now.
Did you think you were in love with people before him?
Yeah. I mean, I was in love with people before him.
But it's different though, right?
It is different. It's very different.
That's what I'm like trying. I think I'm in love with somebody, but like, you know,
nice.
figuring it out.
Figuring it out. Yeah. I feel like what I will say is I want to make him feel good about himself, and I want to feel good about myself in that like situation. And I think that's kind of like something that you rarely talk about, but it's kind of key, you know, like always wanting the best for the other person.
Yeah, and bringing the best out in them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we really do that with each other.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you'll find it.
Thank you so
hopefully in
much.
this love that you're figuring out.
You know, it's so funny. Like I same thing. Like I want to kiss this person, but I also just want to keep talking to them.
Yeah.
So
that's a good sign, I think.
God, let's see. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, Dirt Femme. That is the album. I mean,
can you explain the story behind the title?
Yeah.
Please. So the working title was just feminine during the album, and once I kind of was like, oh, it's not quite right though. And I think the reason why I had that is because I feel like it might not be super clear to everyone, but to me, it feels like this kind of journey through my femininity and like my relationship with my femininity, and how it's been parts of my life where I feel like I've viewed it as weak instead of strong. And I think a lot of those, it's just, you know, I had time to sit back and reflect on my life the past few years and my career, and just like how my sort of, you know, ways to move around the world. And I think when I started out, I was very often the only girl in the room. So I was around a lot of intense masculine energy, because I felt there was also before it was like, be in touch with your feminine side, it's good.
Totally.
You know, for all humans. And I'm not necessarily believing that like masculine femininity is like doesn't really have to do with gender. It's more about like we all have those traits, but we just lean into them one way or the other a bit more. And that's what I like about the queer community. There's way more of just like a blend. There's not necessarily tied to gender, whereas in the straight community it's very like, you know, women are feminine and men are masculine, you know.
Yeah, siloed out. There's
super boring.
It is.
But I think that like, I guess for me, I felt like going into all those rooms with a lot of just men, I had to lean into my masculine traits to get respected and to get like be heard, and to be, you know, oh, you're a girl who can hang, you're, you know, you're cool, you can take the joke, la la la, all that stuff. And I think that made me sort of, and that's very much like I have that part of my personality, but I think that made me sort of start to view my feminine traits. I try to like, you know, hide them a little bit and start to view them as weak instead of like appreciating them. And I think over the years and after the Me Too movement also, I started to feel kind of more like appreciative and in touch with that side of me. But there's still like, I guess for me it's like I'm feminine but a little rough around the edges, so I like Dirt Femme is that kind of description.
That's really interesting that like the rooms that you were in and navigating your career ended up making you like it shed a stronger light on certain sides of your personality and dimmed others.
Yeah.
But now, because you don't need to be in those rooms to make the music you want,
yeah,
you have the freedom to explore and be who you really are.
Yeah, I think so. And I feel, and I think also it plays into like, you know, getting married and like being in a straight relationship, even though I identify with the queer community, and being like, is that still a part of me? You know, well, I guess, you know, that's maybe the thought of like, that's when songs like Suburbia come up, and I'm like, because that, I think both me and Charlie grew up in kind of traditional lives, you know, but not feeling maybe at home there really, which is why we both left and, you know, went on other journeys. And I think but when we got married, even though, you know, we did it in Vegas and our close ones weren't exactly thrilled about that. They were still like, you did something traditional, you did something normal, like, oh, you know, so when are you having kids, when are your roommates moving out, you can't live in a collective when you're married, like, come on. Like, you know, my childhood friends would kind of be a little bit like, why are you guys not making more real choices now, that, you know.
Yeah,
and I think
because that's what society tells you to do.
Yeah, and it kind of made me panic a little bit. Like, I'm not sure I want children. I love all my friends' children. I love, you know, I'm not like, kids suck. It's not that. I just like feel that maybe it's not for me. But when I tell that to them, and I can kind of understand it. Like I've noticed, you know, having a child is a very special, like, experience that is the most precious thing in your life. So when I say that to someone, I don't know if I want kids, they're like, you don't know.
It's like you punch their own kid.
Yeah, kind of like that. And it's not how I mean it, obviously. But I think, you know, maybe also as a woman, when you say that, it kind of, you have to always defend it in a way. And I guess in my mind I started thinking, I was like, I don't think I do, but what if I do? And then, like, do we have to like move out to like a suburb where there's like only other straight couples, we have to do small talk and like do yard work, and I don't know.
No, I couldn't see you doing any of those things.
No, I'm just gonna be like a housewife, redecorating my house all the time, like, which was kind of my life in COVID. No, but I feel like I got all these like thoughts of like, is that where I'm headed? Which is not, like, I was thinking like, and I'm not, to be clear, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that life. Like, I understand a lot of people wanting that life. It's just not for, I grew up in it. I didn't feel at home there. That's just how it is. And I like, you know, I always wanted to go a little bit of a different direction. And I think me living in a collective with 3 of our friends and having like, you know, our friend group is just like a mix of everything, and everyone's very on their own journey. And I just love that. That's just more for me.
Wait, so what does it mean that you live in a collective?
So we have a pink house in LA, and 3 of our best friends live with us. Who one of them is Tim. It's Tim from the House is his producer name. We've done a bunch of songs for the album.
Cool.
How Long and True Romance and the song Kick in the Head and Grapefruit. So I make a lot of music with him, and then Sam, who's also an amazing musician, he works in like music management, and then Jessie, she's like a badass fashion producer. So yeah, the 5 of us are just having a blast in our house.
And you all contribute, and you all...
Yeah. I mean, it's my house, but yeah, everyone like, hey, who's buying? Like, Sam was like, oh, I'm buying groceries. Does anybody need anything? We're just like, oh, can you buy this and that? And then like, are we doing family dinner on Tuesday? Like, yeah. So
oh,
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really cute. We'll go out a lot together. We go on trips together. It's really sweet.
Inspiring?
Yeah, very inspiring. Yeah.
That's a cool friendship.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
That just sounds fun. That's what I'm thinking. Like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get like sick of each other? Do you ever think like, oh, maybe me and my husband should go to our own place eventually, or kick everyone else out?
Honestly, not really. Maybe because we're away so much. But we did all move in like early 2020, and then it was lockdown. You know, we were 8 months didn't leave the house together, and it worked so well. Like, I think because everyone has their own space to kind of go off to. Tim and Jessie, they have a room there together, and then Tim has his studio. I have my studio. Like, everyone kind of has their own space to sort of hide in if you don't want to look at each other. But I also think we're just good at also being around each other while being alone. I feel for Jessie and Charlie sometimes, so because they're more like pedantic, and the rest of us are just hot messes. So I feel like that they're probably sometimes like, okay, deep breaths, don't. You know, but I think it works really well.
I wanted to know if a married woman will still show her boobs at festivals.
Definitely. Yes. It's been my thing all summer.
Sick. Okay. Yeah. I want to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I've been like, I feel like I haven't changed in my expression at all, which is also why I think Charlie is the one for me, because it's never, in the past, it's always been a problem.
Really?
And he is just so supportive and loves it. And like, you know, he does all the visual creative with me. So like, he's also like very part of, you know, loves me wearing a dick corset with like a Wonder Woman corset. Like, you know, he's so on board with my expression, which is really cool.
Wow. That's, by the way, like a partner in many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is
exactly.
super lucky.
Yeah. It's very rare, I think.
The person I'm in love with would work with me too.
See? I see. I have a very good feeling about this.
I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Truly.
Do you remember the first time you flashed the crowd?
I do actually. Yeah, it was an accidental flash. Actually, it was at this bike shop in Austin at South by Southwest in 2015, and I was wearing a top that had like a small cutout under one boob, and I like lifted my hands up and my boob just kind of like fell out of that hole, and everyone was like, so I just like flashed both of them, and it was like such a wild energy, and so I just kind of started doing it at shows for fun, and now it's become this very shared moment. Like the fans know.
Yeah.
So like I do it at the bridge of Talking Body, and I just slowly start to like tease it, and then just like, and like fans are flashing me back. They like write things on their boobs, or they're wearing fun pasties, and it's like a whole moment. It's super fun.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think an accent like that would end up becoming one of the trademarks?
No. Well, I feel like when you do it in Europe, people never write about it. They don't really care.
Oh,
They're like, nah, titties.
They're all half naked.
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. But whenever it's UK or like
Here?
Australia, or especially America. But I will say now,
You show us a
They
titty,
don't really-
we tell the world.
I also feel like I've done it now for like 7 years. So I feel like now whenever they write up my show, they feel like they can't really make it a headline anymore, because it's like, we can't write about it again. Like, so, and that's kind of makes me happy, because now it's like, it's a normalized thing.
Is it
in my
freeing?
show. Yeah. I mean, that's why I do it. It just feels very freeing. And it's like just, a fun thing to do during a sexy song without it being like, such a scandal.
Yeah. God, I wish I could do that.
I mean, you can.
I mean, vomit. It would.
You would lose your mind.
The whole crowd would literally. I mean, you want to induce vomit almost instantly.
No.
If there's ever
I
a
don't
want,
believe that.
if there's ever a want to get a crowd nauseous within seconds, call me.
I don't believe that for a second.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. Please listen to Dirt Femme. Please listen to it. There's a link in the description below.
If you know what's good for you, listen to it.
Yeah, it is healthy. It will make your heart, your soul, and your mind very happy. Any other thoughts over there?
Yeah, the only question I had was, did you feel like you needed to not write anything in 2020 other than the one song to be able to create this album?
I guess I just felt like I tried, and I just felt like whatever I said just wasn't of importance, or kind of was like, I just felt like I needed to just kind of sit back and listen a little bit during 2020. And so I tried to do that. And also, I think I also felt like I just put out a record, because I put out Sunshine Kitty end of 2019. But it was mainly that, like, okay, I'm not feeling like anything I write just feels strange, because the world isn't what it's what it was, or like, and like a lot of other important issues needed to be in full attention. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I was just kind of sitting back and listening and being in my house, and felt kind of. I guess I also felt a bit. To be honest, I was feeling very sad and anxious about. I was gonna do this crazy tour year. My record deal was out. I had all these shows planned. I just put out an album, and I had this feeling of like, what if I never get this life back? And I was feeling quite sad and anxious about that. And I didn't feel like I was an artist at all, but I think that was probably good for me in a writing sense. But then I also didn't want to like express that a lot, because I was also lucky in like living in a house with my friends and a person that I love. So I just was kind of like, just just this is what it is right now.
But that's healthy for the human, right?
Yeah.
Like that. I think it feeds better creative long term.
Probably, yeah. And I think having a pause for the first time in such a long time was
Huge.
I think was probably needed. Yeah.
Dirt Femme. Listen to it, please. Link in the description below. Interested. Have you seen any of the videos from Lord's performances? She had she tweeted you a long time ago.
Yes.
And she called. She really knew that Freaking Habits was going to be a hit.
Yeah.
I I know the whole back end connection there, and I do find it funny. But have you caught any of the video where like she just will sing acoustically, and like when the fans sing back, she asks them to stop singing?
Oh, she does? I haven't seen that actually.
Oh, it's wild. It is. It's exceptional. Like it hooks you, and like you're so
I would be
into
like, I'm
it.
so sorry, I'm gonna be quiet. Yeah, because she's trying to create like a sonical moment that they will all like feel.
Yes.
And if like 10,000 drunk people are off key just yelling back at her, I think it's like when James Blake like does his looping and it does a ooh, which like sang horribly just now, but that he does that as a loop and like the crowd will go yeah, and he's like, no, don't scream, because then that will go into the loop every time. And I think it's like, I kind of respect it. It feels like if I don't really have songs at that kind of quiet level where I need to do that, but to me, it just makes the moment you share kind of even more special.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there is something to curating how somebody, like a live performance is your chance to control how somebody hears your art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Every other situation, there's so many variables out of your control, right? Like you make a record, I'm going to listen to it in my car, I'm going to listen to my headphones, I'm going to listen while I'm walking, I'm going to listen to you can't control how it's consumed essentially, or the environment. Exactly. And it's your chance to really control
to curate
that.
it, for sure. God. Yeah. That's brave though. That to me is like,
totally.
There's a Swedish word called pondus, which is like, it's kind of like I don't know how to like really say more than that. It's like you're cool and you have authority and like you're badass in one word somehow. Yeah. And she has a lot of that. Like that's kind of that move shows me that energy. I like it.
Say it again. What is it?
Pondus.
Pondus.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you, Tove Lo.
I appreciate you.
Really, thank you for giving us time and energy. Dirt Femme, that is the album. Link in the description below. Plus, you can listen to all of Tove's catalog on Amazon Music.
Yes, you can.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much. It was so great to see you.
No, really, you're such a joy. You good?
Yep. Well, I just want to ask about I do want to ask about working with Euphoria and how long. Was that song created for that, or did they hear that?
So, the song existed before. Where I wrote it with like, I want to send this song to Euphoria, but I didn't know any of the plot line. So the fact that there was 2 triangle dramas, it was just the perfect match, obviously. But that was like, for me, when I saw the first season, I'm like, this is my element. I need a song on this show. Now and forever, I'm going to write something that I think will be perfect. And I'm just, very grateful to that it made the cut, because I think everyone and their mom was trying to get us on the show.
Is there a sense of accomplishment when you like you set out literally with the goal to grab a cut on this show?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that's a game-changing thing.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like the song, I mean, just being associated with that, and then like it was just felt like a very amazing first song back, after not having put out anything in a while. That was really a really special journey as well into the album. Yeah.
Dirt Femme, listen to it. Link in the description below. All on Amazon Music. Tove Lo, everybody.
Thank you.